Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Little Stitches. I'm Courtney. I'm going to show you the dress and jacket I'm making for my daughter because we're attending my brother's wedding. And I wanted to make something for her because it's the middle of July, something light, something airy, and something cute. So I'm going to be using this pattern, a Simplicity pattern, S9899, and I'm going to do dress B, except I'm going to do what C does and do the alternative pattern, and then I'm going to make the jacket as well. I learned that children's patterns run larger in size, so I took her measurements and I'm going to make the 1/2 size, and we're going to see how that goes. I have complete confidence though, so what you're going to need is you're going to need pins, scissors, interfacing, a zipper, the fabrics you want to use. I also have a lining fabric because this one is pretty see-through and I want to save as much of this as I can so I can make some accessories for her as well. And then I also have these old jeans of mine, and they've got some weird stains on them. I've pretty much only worn them once because something happened in the wash and I don't know, I can't get the stains out. So I'm going to embroider over those with my embroidery machine. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to upcycle this to become the jacket. And I have these cute little buttons to go with it. These are little daisies. And I just think it matches so well with the theme that I'm going for. Something pink, something light, something airy. And I think it's going to go really well. So gather your materials, and really quickly before I forget, I wanted to use this pattern as she gets older as well, and it's kind of hard to do that when you cut your pattern pieces out. So what I did instead is I had transferred my pattern pieces onto like a painter's paper, and I store my patterns that I do that in, or like my paper patterns, in these little manila folders, and I write down the size and the materials and some notes for myself as I go through. It just makes it easier for me later down the road as I go back to do more projects just like this. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do for it. And I think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna take me very long, but I think she's gonna look absolutely adorable, and I am excited. So come with me as I do this. Okay, change of plans, people. I am so happy about this. So I really wanted to do all of it, all of the dress in one fabric, but I was really scared that I wouldn't have enough, which is why I picked the yellow fabric. But I wanted to test it out really quick, and I have just barely enough. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trace my pattern pieces, the ones that I had traced from the original pattern. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to cut them out, and then I'm going to do the lining pieces that I need, and I'll be done with this part, and then I can get to sewing. Let's go. I've pinned all of my pieces of fabric together. I've pinned the side seams, I've pinned the straps, and all my ruffles together, and I'm gonna sew them, and then I'm gonna do the hem. So I have the bodice done. I attached the lining, the straps, and then I have top stitched along the top and the armholes. And now I'm going to, before I attach all the ruffles and the zipper, I'm going to sew the hem of the biggest ruffle, and then I will place a gathering stitch on all of my ruffles, and then I will attach them. Oh, I use a double rolled hem for this. Just, you know, fold once, then fold twice, and that's it. Nothing too special. So for each tier of the dress, you have to do a basting stitch. So it's going to be your longest stitch that your sewing machine can do, and you're going to do 2 parallel lines on the top, and you're not going to backstitch. I like to backstitch just for when I do it in the beginning so that it doesn't pull through accidentally when I start pulling to ruffle it. But yeah, I'll do that right now. And here's the finished dress. Really like how it turned out. Probably my favorite piece this year to make. I have the lining on the inside and the zipper. Everything turned out really well. I serged the edges because I have a serger. Highly recommend either use a serger or a zigzag stitch because it will fray like crazy. Highly recommend. See, some of the parts that I couldn't are already trying to fray. But it is the finished product. Now I am going to work on the jacket. I am almost done cutting out all my pieces for this old pair of jeans that I'm upcycling. The only problem is that I thought I would have more fabric than I do, but I don't. So I'm actually cutting out the last piece. This last piece that I'm doing is the back yoke, and so I am doing some fun little reconstruction. So I'm actually cutting out 2 pieces, not on the fold. I'll sew it together so that I can open it, and then I'm going to make the second one out of the original fabric that I was using for the dress that I had already finished, and I am going to use it as the top back piece so that it coordinates with the outfit, and I think it's going to look really good. So I'm excited to show you how that's going to look. I'm going to finish cutting out my pieces and start pinning them together and hope for the best. I'll check in with you guys in a couple minutes. Okay, so I experienced a problem and don't necessarily know how I want to fix it, but I'm going to do it. And because the instructions are also confusing, I'm going to show you how I'm doing step 8 for this. So after you follow the first line and you baste it, you're gonna, I marked out with chalk my second line. You can't really see it, which is a little unfortunate, but what it has you do is you fold it over again, and it has you stitch right here at the top across, and then 1.25 inches from the bottom as you stitch on these two. And after you stitch right there, you're going to make sure you have your line cut. I don't know why mine doesn't match up like it does on the other one, but I'm going to, make sure I have my line there so that when I stitch it and then I trim off my excess, I will be able to fold it in so it looks like this. So you're gonna fold it in, it's done, you don't have to worry about it. Normally what it'll have you do is it'll have you stitch, but here's my problem. My problem is I made a bigger pocket because this is the size of the pocket that was on the pants that I used. So normally it would have you stitch here to go down. I simply determined that I'm not going to have functional buttons because why would I? And she's only 14 months, so it's not going to be the biggest deal. So I'm going to stitch right here, and then I'm going to hand stitch it. So I'm going to hand stitch all of that closed while hopefully not showing anything in the back. If anything, I might have like a stitch right here, but the rest of it will be hand stitched so it doesn't show as much. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side, do the stitches, and then I'll show you how it turns out. I'm not gonna hand stitch it just yet, but that's the goal. Okay, I changed my mind. I did multiple different types of different sections of stitches to give it a better look, I guess. Mine is like a stretchy denim, so be careful. I can only use a heavy duty needle, but it probably would have been a little bit more straight if I had used a stretch needle. But I did that on both sides. Yes, I know it's a little weird right here. I'm sorry. But I'm just gonna move on. So I'm moving on to the next step, which is going to be to attach this to the back, which means I'm almost done. I'm super close. And here is the finished jacket. It turned out a lot better than I expected. It was such a pain to work with though. I don't know if I ever want to do this again. Not sure. I might do it once more. But I solved my little problem of trying to close it. I just have one of these snaps. Just one. I just need something that'll close for when she's in AC so it doesn't fall off. And then I also had these small gaps, and I just hand tacked that down. That was all I really did. But otherwise, I'm really happy with it, with how it turned out. Yes, there are some weird discoloration, but you know what? It's made for a toddler. She's gonna get dirty anyway, so I think we'll just roll with it. But I think it matches really nicely to the dress, and I am satisfied with how it all turned out.